USC professor says California's high gas prices are the result of state policies and lower production and not price gouging. Marshall Business School professor Michael Misch released a report this month detailing why Californians pay so much for gasoline. He identified 7 factors that have pushed prices higher for decades, most of which have to do with state taxes and environmental regulations. The professor also says that higher labor costs and lower production rates are pushing prices higher at the pump, and he expects that trends to continue as we approach California's 2035 target for banning the sale of new gas-powered cars.
You may begin.
Thank you. My name is Matt Walsh. Today, I'm not going to talk about fairness, although it's certainly true that allowing men to compete in women's sports is deeply unfair. And I'm not going to talk about safety, although it's certainly true that allowing men into female sports teams and into their bathrooms is incredibly unsafe. I'll let others highlight those important points. I want to talk about something even more important and even more basic. It's the most basic thing of all. It's truth. You must keep men out of women's sports and out of their facilities for the simple reason that they are men. Men are not women.
You know, the thing I just want to say is this is really reminiscent to me of what happened in Nazi Germany in the 1930s. We are moving towards we are moving towards autocracy in this country. In Nazi Germany, transgender people were persecuted, barred from public life.
Mr. Gonzalez.
I appreciate my colleagues.
Mr. Speaker, do you have any time just to talk about what that hearing just had? We have questions, Mr. Speaker. We haven't spoken to you since January 9th. Mr. Speaker, are you worried at all about the Trump administration taking away funding from California?
Honey, hold on a second. Ashley, I'm on the phone. All right.
We've had the majority and we've had the ability to bring legislation to the floor on election integrity and also to call out rogue judges. And yet they chose at this point in time to tie this discharge petition killer to this rule that would also permanently paint me and the members supporting it. And I would like to also share that I'm one of the most conservative members of this body. I'd like to hold up my voting record to anyone else as not just being anti-election integrity, but also enabling a position that I don't typically agree with. That in itself, I would say in this entire process has been the most disappointing, especially from among my party.
Everyone knows that getting rid of the deficit will require some tough decisions. And that includes cutting back on billions of dollars in programs that a lot of people care about. What should be easy is getting rid of the pointless waste and stupid spending. Doesn't that benefit everybody? And that incredibly sane statement, 67% of voters agree with, 42% strongly, only 16% disagree. That's basically what Elon Musk is doing, right? But this is not an Elon Musk quote. This is a Barack Obama quote.
All right, Ray, you're on. Indulge us today.
Meetings back, Victor Manuel said I didn't have the right to come up here and say what I said because I didn't run for office. So I'm announcing today that I moved from Moval to Coachella, and I'm going to run for 4th District Supervisor in 2026. On top of that, I'll be able to go to council meetings and meet Mayor Little Stevie Hernandez and Ysidra Perez and all that dumpster fire. I guess I had to find a more worse situation in my native area. I've come up here many times and talked about prices, inflation.
Homes for the next generation, which is the purpose of life. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll get to, I don't know why it's going with the silence. We'll run through the local stories. Home Gardens man, charged with attempted murder in Riverside. We'll get to that in a second. Corona man pleads guilty in San Bernardino in a cockfighting ring of that. Beer thieves in Harupa Valley. Oh, we love it. I got to say Mayor Baby Jesus of Moreno Valley put on a good one. He's asking for an executive order to rename Box Springs Mount Moreno Valley and Lake Paris Lake Moreno Valley of that. Man, some of the stuff that we go through as we try to get the intro music today. Live guitar music. It comes in every Monday through Friday, live at 5 on the Evil Hippie Network, Rumble, X, all that good stuff going on. It is Tomfoolery Day, so just be careful. Don't take everybody at their word. Know that somebody might be trying to pull a fast one on you today. So we only got, 6, 8, 7 hours left of that. It's a fun day. I love April Fools. That's why we ran the April Fool's joke down there at the Riverside County Board of Supervisors when we attended there this morning of that with my announcing my candidacy for District 4 Board of Supervisors, Riverside County, of that little dig there at Victor Manuel. We'll get into more of that, where he said a couple meetings back that I couldn't come up there and say, all right, I can't come up there and say what I say because I've never run for office. We'll deal with that, but we had a little fun with that. And we got into the price gouging, the gas thing. We'll get more in depth into that story. We put up an article on X and Evil Hippie Network on iNewsWire, detailing what you've seen on this show. Now we're getting USC, the University of Student Criminals, or the University of Southern California, Mike Mischke, who just came out with a report. Gavin Newsom's all, the oil companies, the oil refineries are price gouging and all this other stuff. No, it's all government policy. We'll get into that in a bit. The local news, at least we didn't have a whole weekend's worth of it, 27 stories going on. The cockfighting ring, Corona man pled guilty to that. You know, they were charging, I think, $20 to park and $40 admission to watch the cockfights over in San Bernardino. Well, they did get a conviction finally of that. I think it was U.S. Attorney's Office announced that. Of course, the Harupa Valley cops were on the job, catching the beer thieves in Harupa Valley, enlisted everybody, the FBI, Homeland Security, the K-9 unit, the SET team. But they got it done. They got the beer thieves corralled, arrested, and in jail, and convicted all in one night. Had the judge come in, convict them, sentence them, whole thing. Man, they're efficient down there in Harupa Valley. Good old Danny Silva's and the crew down there. Get into the re-Hooterization of Hooters. Yes, it's true. Oh, we put the story up. Well, maybe we'll put the story up. See if we can get the good old equipment to work. The right one. Sex appeal wing joint files for bankruptcy. Hooters. Maybe we'll get to that one in a tad. And they called it, that's what they're calling it, the re-Hooterization of Hooters. I don't know. Maybe maybe that was an April Fool's joke too. Who knows? It was reported on the New York Post bid on it. It's been rumored they've been having financial trouble for a while, so it could be. Got to watch the stories though today. You never know what might be lurking out there in the great deep divide. We'll get into the NASCAR finish at the Xfinity race and really how it is just a microcosm of what's going on in society today. Get some commentary from Herman, otherwise known as NASCAR former star Kenny Wallace, who has a pretty good podcast going on X and YouTube and stuff. He's always been entertaining, if nothing else. Want to get back to that gas price gouging, whole Gavin Newsom mantra that Squirrel Head came up with. He's absolutely got to be one of the most disingenuous, lying sack of crap. This guy makes Bill Clinton look like a choir boy. Of course, we got the gaslighter in chief who claimed the oil refiners, the oil companies, everybody but who it was why California's gas prices are inexplicably high, highest in the nation. We should have, if we were to drill, baby, drill, we should have the lowest gas prices in the nation. There's probably more oil reserves under California than anywhere. There definitely is more natural gas. Trump's called the United States the Saudi Arabia of natural gas. There's no bigger Saudi Arabia in the United States than right under California. Newsom stopped all the drilling. Both, any natural gas, oil, any sort of energy supply except solar, which doesn't work. Got rid of San Onofre nuclear power plant. Found out that was a mistake. Now they're trying to coax Diablo along. Look, I know a lot of you guys and gals, Jock, Chad Bianco, and his stuff. Dude, Chad, Sheriff Chad. If you would come in here, or maybe just pick up the phone, I get the income tax part, and we can drop the income tax. Well, two things. Drill, baby, drill. We're gonna open up all of the oil and natural gas reserves in California. Two, we are going to become the world's leader in nuclear energy electrical production. We are going to build nuclear power plants from frickin' San Diego to Eureka, and we will be powering America, probably everything west of the Mississippi River, at a cheap price, 24/7, no greenhouse gases, least environmentally damaging power generation of anything, including solar or wind or anything else. That's how you turn the state around. You turn the highest electricity prices in the nation down to the lowest. And we're supplying probably half the United States. The platform should be in 4 years, California will be energy independent. You know, we only produce, it wasn't that long ago. I think about 20 years ago, we produced almost all of our own oil and gas in California. We've shut that industry practically down to a crawl. In fact, not only is Newsom not wanting shut down oil and gas exploration in California, he wants to shut down existing wells that are pumping. But as we said, the USC study came out. Said Newsom is full of ish. It's not gas refiners, not a Chevron oil or oil companies or Phillips 66, ConocoPhillips or whatever they call it, or whatever. The reason gas, diesel, electricity, or just about anything else in California is more expensive. Why housing is more expensive? It's because of government policy, rules, regulations, taxes, fees, roadblocks, stupid policies, idiot people running the deals. Corrupt, lying a-holes. Like that Mary Nichols, who was head of the California Air Resources Board. Names on the California Air Resources Board in Riverside on Iowa. They're between University and MLK. Lying piece of ish. Started in 72 with their crowd pursuing Riverside, city of Riverside, over the pollution, and here we go. To her 19, I think it was 15 or 17 study that started the AB 32 in the cap and trade. With the phony study, some guy that has no connection to the energy industry wrote this report. Oh, we're all going to die of diesel smoke. And then we got AB 32. We have Mike Mischke of University of Southern California has stated what we have been telling you for years and documented. It's not the oil refineries. It's not that we're going to put some more storage tanks in to smooth out in case a refinery goes down. We used to have 50 frickin' refineries, 50 plus. Probably by the end of the year or 2026, we'll be into single frickin' digits. We're down to what, 12? 3 of them have announced are going to close in the next year or two. Chevron pulled biggest, before the tech boom, Chevron, biggest company headquartered in California, moved to Texas. Like In-N-Out Burgers moving their headquarters. We had it yesterday, first boarded up, closed In-N-Out Burger ever. And what, have they been around 75 years? Never closed a restaurant until this year. Over government policies, over unsafe conditions. Their employees were safe. The people were getting robbed and beaten, stolen from. People wouldn't come in. It was like a frickin' war zone up there. Here's another report. It's Fox 11. They're trying to run the Newsom Company line. Fox 11. Sheriff Chad, I know you go on there all the time. You think it's Fox, oh, conservative. BS. Here's a report on why gas prices are going up.
on the rise here in California, and drivers should brace for more pain at the pump.
Okay, so right now in LA County, expect to pay an average of $4.81 a gallon. In Orange County, it's $4.79 and $4.65 in San Bernardino. So what's fueling the rise in gas prices? Well, refinery outages are playing a role here. This is all according to Gas Buddy. But you know, the spring spike is also typical as we switch to summer gas. Gas Buddy analyst Patrick DeHaan has predicted prices in SoCal could keep rising as much as 15 to 30 cents more.
It's just so tough for people out there.
Over and over
gas
again,
prices,
I know.
talk of tariffs.
Yep. And then
Tariffs have had nothing to do with gas prices. Well, they might if the Russian thing comes in, slightly. Another 50 cents a gallon. It has nothing to do with the refineries closing down. It has to do that we don't have enough refineries to refine a proper amount of gas. We're at 20% of the refineries we had from 20 years ago. We've lost like 2 refineries a year for 20 years. Closed down. Now, if we had 20 million of them and you close a couple down, well, you could say, okay. And this all has to do with California government rules and stupid ass regulations. It's ridiculously insane of what we do for this. Of course, we're going to roll you back to Gavin Newsom. He was going to get to the bottom of this, of how these evil oil companies and refiners are gouging Californians. Here's the liar in chief.
That impacts every single Californian. That's the abuse of the oil companies that tends to happen around this time every year as it relates to price spiking. You experienced it 2 years ago. I think it was October 4th, 2022. $2.61 more than the national average. We saw gas prices averaging in California $6.
There he was with B.S. Rob Bonta, and they're going to investigate. Well, you know why over a year you haven't heard anything? Because it was total BS. And now it's confirmed by the USC report. Vaya caramba. I don't know how we're going to survive. But maybe we will. But hopefully we'll get this out. I don't care. Sheriff Chad, whomever. Fritz the cat. I don't care. Let's get somebody running for governor that actually knows what the hell they're doing. Can spout the policies, and okay, like Sheriff Chad, okay, we're going to do the income tax. What are we going to do? How is this all going to work? How are you going to lower taxes and cut out all the waste, fraud, and abuse, which we know is there? We ran this state 10 years ago, and about a third of the money, we're about $100 billion. We're up to $300 billion budgets. It's mirrored the schools. We've done the same thing with schools. Look at the results. Look at LA. That idiots down there voted a permanent they had a 1/4-cent sales tax, which was going to expire for the homeless, for the vagrants. Oh, we're going to do emotional. They voted in it in November. A 1/2 cent, doubled it, and they're down there saying, well, we don't know what happened to the $2 billion. We do know we have more vagrants sitting on the street. LA looks even worse than it did 2 years ago before we started that, but the yo-yos went and voted for it, just like Moreno Valley voted for a 1-cent sales tax. It's because we don't pay attention. We don't get involved. We don't. You just, emotional this and Roy's evil. Ditch bank okie, hillbilly, racist. while we're doing this, and I want to get, wasn't able to get to it yesterday because Mondays are always ridiculously busy. But at the NASCAR Xfinity race, which is a Saturday race, where the younger guys usually mostly compete, they're trying to get up to the Cup Series. They had a wild thing. I mean, it was a crash and bashing show of that. We ran it yesterday, but we will run it here again just to show you what happened this Saturday at Martinsville, Virginia. Here we go. Oh, let's see. There it is.
There goes Gray. Here comes Allgaier. Austin Hill out of nowhere. It's going to win in Martinsville. Do you believe that? With the huge crash at the start-finish line.
So as you see, Sammy Smith is behind Taylor Gray, 2 or 3 car lengths going into the corner. He just drives it, clear in, and wrecks him. There you see him, he's driving in way overhead. He's using the 54 car as a brake. Because you would have been on the brakes yourself to try to make the corner. Well, he wiped himself out. And Herman, Kenny Wallace, former NASCAR star, now YouTube and internet star.
Comes Allgaier, Austin Hill, out of nowhere, it's going to win.
And Kenny made a great point of the lack of respect in racing. I reposted, and he reposted my comment on that. The lack of respect in racing, and this goes on in sprint cars, midgets, you're seeing the whole thing. These kids run into each other, crash each other. Daddy's got them 4 cars sitting in the humongous 80-foot trailer, 27 parts, 16 motors. They don't care. They just crash them, bash them, whatever. No respectability. And again, this would have never happened back in the day, like when Kenny raced 9 others. Here's the Herminator. Let's see if we can get him to play.
All right. Hold that thought right there. Holy hell. All broke loose. And the art of racing has been changed forever. These young kids have grown up watching Earnhardt. The first thing you're going to say is Earnhardt used to do it. Hold on now. Hold on. Dale Sr., he'd knock you out of the way. Sometimes he'd spin you out. But when he hit you, he won the race. Here was the problem yesterday.
That's 100%. I don't care if you're talking about Grand National Racing, Winston Cup, Saturday Night, Orange Show Speedway, Junior Becker and Ivan Baldwin back in the 70s, or whomever. They might have bumped you, moved you out of the way, roughed you up, but they won the race. They didn't just crash everybody and crash themselves for the sake of crashing. And that's what Sammy Smith did. He just run clear over him. And we'll get to that in a second. Here's more from the Herminator.
We're going to get to this psychology of why these young kids just destroy each other nowadays. Don't even try to pass each other. These young drivers, they're losing respect. The older drivers, the great drivers, the mayor, Jeff Burton, he was pissed yesterday. The mayor, Jeff Burton, he called him out. Now, I know y'all don't like Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin said, if I was in that TV booth, they'd fire me because I'd call them all out. Every single NASCAR Cup driver, that's anybody, that made it to the big time, and they've won 30 to 40 Cup races. They said what they saw yesterday was the ugliest thing ever. And I would have to say it rates right there. It's probably the new ugliest thing ever. So let's go through it. All right.
And he's right. All of them. Denny Hamlin, even Dale Jr., who owns Sammy Smith's car. The iconic, still probably most popular driver in NASCAR, along with his dad, who was mentioned, who used to rough people up all the time, but he won the race. He didn't crash you. He moved you out of the way. He might have spun you out. He might have moved you up. But he didn't just run into you and crash a whole bunch of people. And this is the respectability that you don't see in racing, and we'll get to how it affects society in a minute.
First of all, you can respond right here, but let's just say this. Let's say it was a 200-lap race. There was 100 caution laps and 100 green flag laps. It was a very, very ugly race. They were just wrecking each other like, what the fuck is going on? It was like the Joker, you know, on the movies. You know, the Joker when he blows up and kills like 100. Yes, in my day, the reason we couldn't get away with that shit is because those guys would kick my ass after the race, and then they would shame me. Shame. Hey, Wallace. Yes, sir. You want to go anywhere in this NASCAR? Yes, sir. You keep driving like that, I'm going to make sure you don't. That's the way they talk to you. Dale Sr. talked to you like that. Dave Marcus talked to you like that. Then all of a sudden, Jeff Burton became our mayor, and he would call you out. And yesterday, Jeff Burton called all those kids out. So, Sammy Smith, Sammy, I'm sorry, buddy, but you're gonna be shamed for a while from the greatest NASCAR drivers. And they did me. You can't do that, even if it's for the win, even if it locks you in the playoffs. You can't do it because all the other bullies are doing it. Now it would destroy your life. You wouldn't be able to sleep. You'd be in your living room watching the fan go round because the whole garage area shamed me. So that's what's going on right now, Sammy. Slammin' Sammy's your new name.
So like he said, back in the day, if you'd have pulled a Nimrod move like that, it's just running into somebody intentionally to take them out. Like, shaming would be that. You'd probably get your head caved in. You pulled that on Iron Man Jack Ingram or Tommy Ellis. They'd have grabbed you by the throat and beat the living tar out of you. And that's what's different about society today. With this emotional, we're going to, like I said, women, you're going to rue the day you tried to make us men into women. 100% emotional, we can take care of everything. You know, sometimes you just got to have some old-fashioned, we ain't putting up with this crap. That's what the retarded half of the population does. Things get out of hand, we're around to rein it back in. Might not be pretty. You might not want to watch it. Then don't. Don't get in the middle of it. Has to do, and we'll get into the boys and the girls' sports and all that. But it's a lack of respect. And this goes on in society. That's what I see. The NASCAR is just a reflection of what's going on in society today. The lack of respect of people in the classroom, kids in the classroom, kids running the classroom instead of teachers and the principals. The back talk, nobody does anything wrong. Everybody, if you want to burn Teslas, If you want to take over somebody's property in the George Floyd deal, burn it down, steal their stuff, knock them on the head, take their money and their jewelry, smash and grab their businesses, that's okay. This is just a reflection of what goes on. Here's a post-race interview with Sammy Smith.
You know, I'm not very proud of that, what I did. I mean, it's just, he just has no respect for me, and he was flipping me off under the red flag, swerving at my door. I moved him into one. He still had to lead those 3 restarts, and going on the back straightaway, I thought to myself, what would he do in this situation? And he would have done the exact same thing. So, you know, he's flipping me off, and that right there was the line for me to ultimately make the decision I made.
Do you regret anything, or do you feel like, you know?
I mean, if I just let him go, I accepted that I finished second today, and I tried to do my best for my team and myself to win a clock, and it just wasn't good enough.
Anything constructive with your discussion with him, or?
Oh, I mean, no. I mean, he said he wants to go at it. I mean,
I can go 3 car lengths deep, use the guy in front of me as a brake, and that's okay because, oh, he flipped me off. Well, big deal. If you're driving race cars, I can guarantee you, and you can't take somebody flipping you off, you should not be in one. If you're going to wreck somebody, run into somebody because they flipped you off, maybe you had a legitimate, because it was mayhem out there. Like Kenny said, 200-lap race, 100 of it was into cautions because they were running into each other, and this is happening race after race after race. Happens in the short tracks. Happens every Saturday night, like you see in the intro of that car flying into the stands. No respect. Oh, well, I justified it because that's the way society is. If I want it, if it makes me feel good, doesn't matter what the consequences are, doesn't matter how you got to respect anybody, live with anybody. I want to do it. So I can justify it. When everybody in the industry is saying, boy, you effed up. That was totally uncalled for. But well, he flipped me off. So I just drove 3 cars. I wrecked half the field. The guy in 5th place coming around wins the race. Austin Hill. He was probably the most shot guy in there. He's coming in 5th spot going into 3 on a half-mile track, comes out, they all start wrecking, he drives in and wins it. Of course, he's happy as a clam. He survived it, but, he might be the one that gets crashed out the next time. But no, that's a microcosm of what's going on. Says feel good. If it benefits me, we don't care how we got to do it. If I don't like you, I just feel justified in taking your life. That's really a lot of what's going on and a lot of how our society is. We have no decorum. We have no standards. Just because I want it, I can justify anything. That's the one thing a human being can do. They can justify anything in their mind. It's how you get serial killers that chop people up and keep them in the freezer and all, Jeffrey Dahmers of the world. Because the human mind is capable of justifying anything or action. In order to maintain a civil society, we have to set standards. We have to have some sort of rules of conduct so this stuff doesn't happen like that, or up into serial murders, or like Chloe Cole at 15 gets her breast chopped off, and then at 16 says, "Oh, I made a horrible mistake." When she was, and that's why I say that this is how we're getting to this part of the society. It's like the roles. What is a woman? You heard Matt Walsh, who testified today, and we'll get to that when we get to KMET. Simple answer. Yeah, they got a vagina. You're a man, boy, you got a penis. XY chromosome versus XX chromosome. Very simple. There are no 27 genders or 20 gazillion or whatever. I can wake up today and think I'm this or that. Again, the human mind can justify anything. And if you let it, it will. If you just let people run free rein, they will do anything. They are capable of anything. That's why we have to have law enforcement. When people get too far out of hand, we got to rein them in. This is why I support the death penalty. There's got to be consequences for people doing heinous crimes. The ultimate consequence. If not, people are more inclined to do that.
All right, I'm here now, Roy. 30 seconds.
You got it. As Sean said, we'll be joining the Mighty Met KMET here on that. We'll get into more of this, like the NASCAR thing and everything else, the price gouging. Get into that, how it applies to the boys and girls sports and bathrooms.
All right, here we go. 10 seconds.
That was at the California legislature today.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views expressed are those of the program producers, not endorsed by this district, and not necessarily those of their
There's the funky slide guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met, 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire and the aforementioned AM band. Join our vast video audience in the Evil FB Network, Rumble, X, even YouTube. Man, what a day. Harupa Valley cops got the beer thieves. Oh, man. I announced my candidacy for the 4th District Supervisor's Office for Riverside County and my move from Marina Valley to Coachella there this morning on that fun day today, the tomfoolery of today. I enjoy April 1st. Just watch all of the things that go on of that other stuff going on. Corona man pleads guilty in San Bernardino cockfighting ring. Story on IE Newswire. Get to this one. Sex appeal wing joint files for bankruptcy. The re-Hooterization of Hooters. I was thinking that might have been a phony story, but it's in the New York Post. Again, beer thieves caught in Harupa Valley. You see them on the train tracks. They had to, the FBI, the CIA, Homeland Security, ICE, SET team, K9 team, all had to get the beer thieves in Harupa Valley. Lots of stuff going on in our little world that, oh yes, and a home gardens man was charged with attempted murder in River City Some of the local news that's going on, we covered the price gouging set by the California government on gas prices. 1,432%. Gulag Gavin Newsom is solely responsible, and the California legislature and California Air Resources Board is solely responsible for California having the highest gas prices in the nation. It's not the oil companies. It's not the refiners. It's not the late Alley, Missouri at the travel zone out in Paris making a dime a gallon pumping the gas ultimately to you or diesel. It's government. That's why you didn't hear them crowing when they said, "Oh, we're gonna find out these price gougers, Chevron oil and all that." BS. Total BS. 1,000,000,111% BS. When do a majority of Californians stop buying the lot? We ended our net segment with the NASCAR race where the ridiculous crash fest, Sammy Smith running into Taylor Gray 3-car lengths and using him as a brake, crashing him and 4 others. Kenny Wallace, former NASCAR star, and everybody, Denny Hamlin, Jeff Burton, all the current NASCAR stars were like, that's got to be one of the worst move we've ever seen. And I reposted Kenny's deal that we played a little bit, and he reposted my post. But I said, the lack of respect in racing, in NASCAR, it happens in the short tracks and everything else. It's just a microcosm of the lack of respect we have in our society. I can justify, if I want it, if I want to feel good, or it makes me feel good, or I think it makes me feel good, I just get to do it. So one thing, study human behavior. The human mind can justify anything. It's how you get serial killers like Jeffrey Dahmer. It's beyond criminal. We had today were the hearings, the California legislature, on the 2 bills, both from Inland Empire Assemblymen, Bill Asaley out here in Corona, and Kate Sanchez was just Temecula. AB 844 Asaley, he's eliminating everything. No boys and girls sports, locker rooms, everything. I think it's AB 89 with Sanchez, which watered it down. Said, okay, would you forget about the bathroom thing, just no boys or men and girls, women's sports. Both of them got shot down today. Every Democrat or I think practically every Democrat voted against these bills. Even Gavin Newsom finally had to come out and said, this is freaking nuts. And he caught a lot of heat because we've got a kook legislature, but it's a kook. We've got a kook state. Maybe they're starting to turn around a little bit. But still, the vast majority of the folks in California, they have a lack of respect for their fellow men, for themselves. They keep doing this self-destructive behavior. They elect these stupid idiots. Highest gas prices, highest electricity prices, jam up our roads. Make idiots out of your kids and charge you 3 times the price. Here was Matt Walsh at the hearings today. He's the guy that made that very famous video, What is a Woman? Here we go.
Thank you. My name is Matt Walsh. Today, I'm not going to talk about fairness, although it's certainly true that allowing men to compete in women's sports is deeply unfair. And I'm not going to talk about safety, although it's certainly true that allowing men into female sports teams and into their bathrooms is incredibly unsafe. I'll let others highlight those important points. I want to talk about something even more important and even more basic. It's the most basic thing of all. It's truth. You must keep men out of women's sports and out of their facilities for the simple reason that they are men. Men are not women. A man who claims he is a woman is still not a woman. So why shouldn't men play in women's sports? Because they aren't women. It isn't.
I don't know how you get more simpler than that. That's why we have separate sports, because we're not equal. Us and the retarded half population are stronger, meaner, more retarded. Girls in most cases cannot compete against that. How we're even discussing this even more astounding is the reason Democrats shot this bill down and Kate Sanchez's bill.
True. We should not allow men into women's sports for the same reason we shouldn't go around claiming that 2 + 2 = 7. It's just not true. It is a lie. The man who identifies as a woman is either deluded and confused, or he is a cross-dressing fetishist looking to play out his fantasies in public. In either case, the claim that he's making, the claim to womanhood, is not true. And compelling women to take part in this untruth is evil, perverse, and predatory.
This is where we're going. If we're going with this in society, and if we're going to deny undisputable truths, then we can justify anything. Again, you justify, like at the NASCAR race. Just if I'm not going to win, nobody's going to win. That's the exact mentality that any serial killer has. In their mind, they are justifying chopping you or your loved ones or your neighbor or somebody into little itty bitty pieces and putting them in the freezer or whatever. That's how you get, again, like I said, that NASCAR, what's happening in racing, the lack of respect, the lack of rules of decorum that we all can live in a civil society. If we don't have those, I mean, then you got anarchy. I mean, if we want to get to anarchy or every man for himself and only the strong survive, that's the way we are going. And we have elected 80% of our California legislature, all of our state offices, in stupid like this. This is not haphazard. This is a reflection of the society in California today.
If you would use the force of law to compel young girls to use a changing room with a boy, you are yourselves predators. Transgenderism is a lie. It is, in fact, the most deranged lie that mankind has ever invented. In a free country, nobody should ever be forced to participate in a lie. As lawmakers, you have an obligation to the truth. It is a truth that I know you all recognize because every human who has ever lived on earth recognizes it, that men are men and women are women. It is that simple.
It is. How did we get to where we're not? That something as basic and as simple as that. They're doing that to tear down the fabric of society, to control you, to make you accept anything, get you in the Stockholm syndrome, where you think the only way you can survive is to do whatever your captor is saying or doing, or you have to please him.
And the question before you is just as simple. The question is this: will you side with the truth, a truth so basic that every toddler understands it, Or will you disgrace yourselves by denying it? That is your choice to make.
And of course, they chose to deny it. And we're going to play the reason why, or one of them. This is how absurd. And maybe this is the only shot. It seems to be pervasive. People are starting to reject this across the country. Maybe we're starting to heal ourselves in California. Again, this is on AB 89, the Sanchez bill. This is just down to, let's forget the bathroom thing. Let's just say no boys, men, in girls, women's sports. Well, you'll probably understand because you've heard it before.
And, you know, the thing I just want to say is this is really reminiscent to me of what happened in Nazi Germany in the 1930s. We are moving towards moving towards autocracy in this country. In Nazi Germany, transgender people were persecuted, barred from public life.
Mr. Gonzalez.
I appreciate my colleagues' comments, but if we can stick to the point.
This is about this. This is about this bill. They were barred from public life. They were detransitioned. They were imprisoned and killed in concentration camps. And the way that it started was the same kinds of things that are happening in this country by the Trump administration, taking rights away.
Nobody's taking anybody's rights away. This guy is just out for, and again, Hitler, Nazi, Trump. Look at how and maybe we have to take this. Maybe we have to get to this point that people will finally see these guys are absolutely 100%, in my view, no medical doctor give medical advice. They're mentally ill. You cannot. Nobody's taking any rights. This is not what happened in Hitler's Germany in the 30s and 40s. Nobody is saying they don't have a right to play in the sports. They don't have a right to go to the bathroom. We have separate facilities for a reason. We have separate sports for a reason, for a very good reason. Who is getting shamed or this or denied that because of whatever they're doing sexually, as long as they're not harming somebody else? But to justify this for this Klondike is just beyond the pale.
Trying to erase the existence. And I think the thing that I would sort of say is, at the end, one of the things that that I was thinking about once I came into this room today, and you know, I have actually spoken to hundreds of parents of transgender kids that are the most vulnerable kids in our school system, and we have a responsibility to look out for all of those kids. You know, on the Holocaust Memorial Museum.
But Hitler, nobody's that. I want you to explain that to Chloe Cole. Hopefully, Dr. Kelly will be in on Friday. Hopefully, she has a tape out there, but we'll run it. We'll get Dr. Kelly's take on it. She's saying one of the reasons I was exposed to very violent pornography. all sorts of weird stuff as a kid, and that's why I was afraid to be a woman and I wanted to become a boy, because I thought I was going to be in danger or I was going to be subjected to this as a young girl or woman. That's why this guy is absolutely 10,000% out of his freaking mind. This is Robert Rivas, the head of the assembly, when the great reporter Ashley Zavala is trying to get a comment after the Democrats, there might have been one or two, almost all of them voted this down. They voted to have boys playing in girls' sports, boys being in the girls' locker rooms in school. Doubled down on it. There's Ashley Zavala chasing down Robert Rivas in the halls of the assembly. Hopefully, here we go.
But that hearing just had, we have questions, Mr. Speaker. We haven't spoken to you since January 9th. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, are you worried at all about the Trump administration taking away funding from California?
Honey, hold on a second. Ashley, I'm on the phone. All right.
Mr. Speaker, are you worried at all? Mr. Speaker, are you worried at all about California losing any money from the Trump administration?
I'll call you back in a couple minutes, okay?
Mr. Speaker, are you worried at all about the Trump administration taking away funding from California over the result of this bill?
Every day.
I know you do.
All the policies they pass, the impacts they have to.
Guys, always closed, Ashley.
So you're not worried at all?
That's been a top concern for us.
What about the governor? I mean, what are your thoughts on the governor? What are your thoughts on the governor's remarks, though, Mr. Speaker?
Of course, it's all about Trump. He's a mean guy, you know. Holocaust, Hitler, Trump derangement syndrome. It's absolutely 5,000% unreal. Sex appeal wing joint files for bankruptcy. Hooters is re-Hooterizing Hooters. I thought it was, I don't know, I'm still kind of on the fence on this. I thought it was another April Fool's story. How do you re-Hooterize Hooters? Well, I guess there is surgery to make them bigger, but I digress. Oh, man. I thought it was possibly, but there has been rumors that they were going to go, that they were going bankrupt. And I mean, there is a New York Post article with that on there. So I don't know. Maybe it's true. Did say they filed for Chapter 11 of that. I thought it was a fake story, but it might be even actually true. That I thought that was a crack up. We're re-Hooterizing Hooters. I guess from what they said, they're going to redo the restaurants. That's why I think it's an April Fool's deal, but it might be real. Who knows? So they're going to be a family restaurant. No more bikini days or girls in the extremely tight shorts and the halters with the Hooters on them. Who knows? If you grew up in Marinaville, I think we had 24 topless. When I grew up as a kid, when March Air Force Base was the biggest SAC base west of the Mississippi, Vietnam War, everything's going, B-52s flying over here all hours of the day, all 8 engines, full bore, no mufflers, rattle the house. I think it was 24 or something dive bars, right? Topless, bottomless, this and that. Oh, man. I guess we'll see tomorrow if that's really a true story. Like the Harupa Valley beer story, or me running for 4th District Supervisor and moving to Coachella. It's been a fun day. Well, you would. We got, a little over 6 hours left for April Fool's Day. So just keep your guard up. Don't necessarily believe everything you're seeing or hearing. But, hey, at least once a year, it's pretty much all holes barred. Variety is the spice of life. As you know, I've been talking about standing up for our country, doing something. These big box stores stayed open while the little guys closed. Will our voices be heard? Does voting with our dollars work? PatriotSwitch.com gives patriots the power to walk away from the big box stores forever. Stop supporting the enemies of freedom now. That's why PatriotSwitch.com was created, for those who support America. PatriotSwitch.com. Is your car doing the hucklebuck and afraid you will be stuck? Well, head on down to Toyota of San Bernardino, Nissan of San Bernardino, Subaru of San Bernardino, in the San Bernardino Auto Mall, and catch a Camry, look ravishing in a Rogue, or be styling in a Subaru. Don't forget I-10 Toyota in Indio for those of you in the lower desert. You deserve to be the happiest human on the planet. So head on down to one of these 4 great dealerships for the car of your dreams. Spread the word. IE Newswire is now on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 p.m. on Rumble and KMET 1490 AM, 5:30 to 6 p.m. Join all the cool kids who want an eclectic look at the news without all the filters of the evil scoundrels of social media and the despicable dorks of the dominant press. Don't bumble and stumble. Subscribe to IE Newswire on Rumble and roll with the best hillbilly hoedown around. That's it. If you want to buy American, go to PatriotSwitch.com. If you need a new Subaru or Toyota, go to Kona Cliff Cummings Great Dealerships at San Bernardino Auto Mall at the 10 and 215 freeways. Forget I-10 Toyota down the lower desert. Ah, what a fun day. Now see how many more pranksters are out for the remaining 6 hours of April Fool's Day. Should have kept running a story in the origins of April Fools. That one I don't know. Should know that. Everybody expects me to know everything. But it's a fun day. I enjoy today. I enjoy doing the pranks like I did mine this morning. And I enjoyed the other ones. Even Mayor Baby Jesus of Moreno Valley, who said he put out the executive order renaming Lake Paris, Lake Moreno Valley, and Box Springs, Mount Moreno Valley. It's pretty good. Got a kick out of that one, too. And all the other stuff that's went on. It's a fun day. Even of that. It was 9 years ago I wrote the one Tom Owings was going to make a comeback as mayor after he was recalled. It was amazing the people that bit that one. Oh, man, that was fun. Great day. Off to the Moreno Valley City Council to finish out the civic duties for the day after the Board of Supervisors this morning. That'll do it for today. We usually say at this time, mandatory you're back here. Hours wide, the best darn show in the whole wide world. Until then, see ya.
The preceding was a paid program. Views and claims.
All right, Roy. Hey, I was going to ask you, a lot of the things that you're going through with your mom and your dad, I went through with my parents when they died. I never heard from any of my family. I never, you know what I mean? I swear to God, man, it's like all these people that she took care of over the years, I never heard anything from them. You know what I mean? And it's like,
No, I get it. That's why I ran that series.
yeah,
Maybe it will make people think a little bit of,
yeah,
of that because, I've seen it so many times. I figured, well, I'm going to use this as another experiment. I pretty much knew the way it was going to work out, and
yeah.
of that, and it pretty much went the way I thought it was. But maybe it'll get somebody to think a little bit and pay
Yeah.
attention, smell the coffee, and just pay attention to what people are doing.
Yeah, hopefully it does. Hopefully it does. And my phone's always open, so if you ever need to talk, just give me a call.
I'm okay, but I did it mainly for that to hopefully it would, if it just helps one person, it'd be worth it.
Yeah, oh, I get that. Believe me, I get that.
You got it.
Take care. Talk to you
got it.
Friday.
We'll see you.